Alright, so I got a request from one of my subscribers asking to explain the heart, how it works, so I will do my best. I'm going to simplify it a little bit. It is not as simple as you see on Valentine's cards, it is a lot more complex than that. So we are going to look at how it is structured and how it works and the whole purpose of the heart. So there's going to be some complex names, there's going to be some tricky keywords to have go at, but we will do our best. The weirdest thing about anything you see as a diagram of the heart is that it's backward. So when you look at an image or a diagram of the heart, as you look at it is as it would be on somebody else facing you. So things that are on the left of this image would be the right side of the heart as someone looks at you. So that is my right hand side, but it is the left hand side of the heart of someone facing you, or a diagram. The right hand side is over on my left of the diagram. So it's a bit weird, but once we get that figured out, we will know what is going on. So as you can see from my diagram, super simplified, there are four main parts, four chambers of the heart. You've got two on the right and two on the left. So first of all, you've got an atrium on the right and you've got an atrium on the left. They're the two top chambers, and then underneath them you've got the right ventricle and the left ventricle. So that makes up the four main pieces, main chambers, main components of your heart. So the heart is made of cardiac muscle. So these four chambers are separated by different thicknesses of muscle. So in the middle there, coming down, you've got the septum, which completely separates the two sides of the heart. So your right and left sides are separate. Now you also have valves between the atrium and the ventricle on either side. Now these maintain and make sure that it's a one-way system within your heart. Okay, so blood goes from the atriums, left and right, into the ventricles, but it does not go the other way around. So that valve will shut to stop any blood returning up into the atriums. Now obviously the atrium is where the blood comes into in the first place, fills up, goes through the valve, then into the ventricle. So the right hand side, you've got deoxygenated blood coming from your organs or your muscles or where it's been used, and it goes to the right atrium through the valve into the right ventricle. You see this as sort of blue or dark red in diagrams usually because the blood without oxygen or saturated with CO2, carbon dioxide, is coming into the right hand side of the heart. Now the main purpose next is to deliver that blood to the lungs. Now the lungs is where you get your gas exchange, so you'll get rid of your CO2 and you'll replenish your blood with oxygen fresh from your breathing. So you've got to get that deoxygenated blood to the atrium and then to the ventricle. The ventricle will then push this deoxygenated blood through the pulmonary artery to get to the lungs. This is where the gas exchange happens, and you can refresh the oxygen in that blood. So the blood goes into the atrium on the right hand side, into the ventricle on the right hand side, then up through the pulmonary artery to the lungs. So now that fresh blood that's now got a new supply of oxygen in it needs to get back into the heart and then back around the body, because that needs to be delivered to every cell that is functioning in your body. It needs a fresh supply of oxygen for respiration to take place. So blood travels through pulmonary veins from the lungs into the left atrium, then down into the left ventricle, before having a big squeeze, big strong muscles pushing that blood a high pressure around the body. Remember, it's got to go from the middle of your chest all the way down to your toes. It's got to get everywhere around. So it comes down through that atrium into the ventricle and then is given a big push by the thick muscular walls of the left hand side of the heart. They are thicker and stronger than the right hand side because they've got to do a big push. You've got to maintain that high pressure. So there is a big shove from that side of the heart, a contraction of the muscle that causes the blood to flow from the left ventricle up through a chamber, past a valve, a one-way valve, out to the rest of the body. That goes through the aorta. And that's a high pressure system through your arteries to your vital organs or to your muscles, wherever that is needed, and that blood has got a high concentration of oxygen, O2. It's just been to the lungs, got replenished. That's going to travel, like I said, anywhere your body needs to. Every cell in your body is going to be using oxygen and glucose for respiration. Waste products are going to be water vapor and carbon dioxide. So you've got to get that oxygen in, you've got to get the carbon dioxide out. And that is the main role of that heart, to provide that system to allow that movement to happen. So I got my oxygen, my fresh blood goes to my muscles, I exercise, do my contractions, my muscular movements. So I'm going to use up that O2. I'm going to, through respiration, I'm going to transfer that through chemical reaction to make CO2, carbon dioxide. And now I got to get rid of that. So I've got to go again from the muscles up to the right hand side. If the blood is coming from the bottom half of the body, it goes into the heart from the inferior vena cava. And if you're coming from the top half of the body, the blood travels through the superior vena cava. Goes back into the right hand atrium, down to the right hand ventricle, up through the pulmonary arteries, into the lungs, over and over again. This happens more when you exercise, or less when you rest, and repeats for your entire life. Hope you enjoy the video. Hope it makes it straightforward enough. It's a complicated thing. It's a really difficult model and difficult diagrams. Hopefully I simplified it enough to make it make sense.